Alright, it's that time for a second video. Today we're going to be ranking Dynasty wide receivers based on these categories. We have top, keep at all costs, good for a championship team, would listen to offers, cash in on value immediately, good bench depth, and never seen the lineup. So I've also got the Lions Commanders game on right here. The Lions right now are kind of killing them. That's a great pass by Jared Goff, just having to say. But yeah, let's get started real quick. Let's start with we're gonna go back to or front to back. So Justin Jefferson, I'm not gonna waste your time with the easy ones. Justin Jefferson, you're keeping him at all costs. Jamar Chase, Amon-Ra St. Brown, you're keeping those three guys always. Those guys are the top tier receivers, and there's no questioning about them. Now Tyreek Hill's a weird one. Yes, he could be moved, but also, he's had good games. He's also had a really bad season this year. And overall, I'm not as confident on Tyreek Hill. However, I don't think he's on a complete hit list. He's not somebody who I am particularly worried about next year, especially if he goes to a better team. So for Tyreek Hill, I'm putting him in the would listen to offers category. He's not a guy you're going to want to part ways with because he is not going to be that expensive of a player, even though he probably should be. Oh, did they get that ball? Oh my gosh. Did he get that ball? Oh my god. He did. Oh my gosh, what a play by Lufu. That may have just saved the game for the Commanders right there. Unbelievable. CeeDee Lamb, he's in a rough situation with the Cowboys right now, but honestly, once again, keep at all costs, I feel. CeeDee Lamb is just... he's that guy who is the number one in Dallas, and it's not even close. The Dallas have so many holes, they're not going to pick a better receiver than CeeDee Lamb to take many targets from him. He's getting at least 12 a game, most likely, and he's going to be great. Now, Mike Evans is a guy, he's getting older, he's getting up there, but yet he still is having all those 1,000-yard receiving seasons. Is he going to have the longevity that Jerry Rice has? No, I don't think so. So realistically, I'm going between good for a champion and cash in on value. So Mike Evans, I like where Mike Evans is. He's good for a championship team. Terry McLaurin is a very interesting player to rank on this. But the big issue I have is I don't trust Jaden Daniels in the long run. Yes, Terry McLaurin had a good season. Yes, he'll probably have a good second season. But if the Commanders get another target for Daniels to throw to, I mean, there's already been games where Terry McLaurin's only had one target, and the Washington offense feels very volatile because Brian Robinson isn't a great running back, and they could also grab someone else in the draft to replace him. I think that Terry McLaurin should be in cash in on value immediately. He's getting older. If he declines, or when he declines, I should say, I feel like, he's really, really going to decline. A.J. Brown, I also think that he's a very good player, but once again, he's kind of got that volatile upside. Like, he can score 20 points, he could score 4 points in any given week. So I'm putting him in the same tier as Tyreek Hill. I'm putting him over him, though. Tyreek Hill's kind of at the bottom of would listen to offers. But A.J. Brown, he's a guy you're going to play on your team, but you're also listening to offers for him. Devontae Adams, good for a championship team, and he also can fit in a cash in on value immediately. I'm going to throw in on cash in on value immediately because, we don't know where he's going to be playing next year, and we don't know if it's going to be a good team or a terrible team. And he was on a bad team with the Jets as well, but once again, he's getting older, he's slowing down, and he's had a lot more drops uncharacteristically compared to the last couple seasons. So I'm not really too excited about having Devontae Adams on my Dynasty team. Cooper Cup, I'm also putting in cash in on value immediately. He had an awful end to the season, and whatever little value he has left, I think that you have to cash in on that value. Stephon Diggs, you know, once again, he could be playing in Houston next year. He could be playing for a different team. He had a great year last year until he got hurt. So I think I'm kind of he's kind of a tough one to rank. He really is. Because he starts for you. Do you listen to offers? I don't know. I mean, I'm actually not going to do good for a championship team. I'm going to call this solid starters. I'm gonna do the solid starters instead of good for a championship team. Solid starters. I'm gonna put Mike Evans, and I'm gonna bring AJ Brown up into there as well. But Diggs, I'm gonna put him in the would listen to offers category. I'm gonna put him over Tyreek Hill though, because Diggs is coming off an ACL injury, and I'm kind of gonna put Brandon Ayuk in this category as well. Both Brandon Ayuk and Stephon Diggs coming off of season-ending injuries. But the difference is Ayuk was really bad before that, and honestly, the fact that Ayuk was really good and then got paid and was awful is something that I really don't like in receivers, because it shows that they're just kind of like, I'm here for the bag and that's it. It's like Kenny Golladay was for the Giants a couple years ago. So I honestly don't like Ayuk on your team. So, but he still is young. He still could be good. I would listen to offers for him. Drake London, solid starter. He's one of those guys. The Falcons are just a weird offense, and knowing them, they're going to draft another offensive skill position player in the first round. So Drake London, not the guy you're going to keep at all cost, but he's solid. DK Metcalf has been declining since last season, and it's gotten even worse this season. Not as bad as Cooper Kupp's season this year, however, but definitely not as good as Devontae or Terry McLaurin. I think that DK Metcalf is being outshined by JSN really quick, and I think he has to go if you're gonna cash him in on cash in on his values. Devonta Smith, I'm listening to offers for Devonta Smith. He's a good starter. But the issue is that he had a couple games this year where he really shit the bed and he was hurt a lot. So he's not a player that I feel like is untouchable in your squads. And he's also playing behind AJ Brown, which is also not good. Yes, he had a couple good playoff games, and at the time of recording, the Lions and the Commanders are playing, so he hasn't played the second playoff game yet. So hopefully he does well there. Nico Collins, I'm putting him and keep him at all costs. He proved that he's the alpha in Texas in this Texans wide receiver core. Really good. And that's pretty much all you have to say about Nico Collins, really. Chris Godwin is a really weird one to rank, because he was the wide receiver 1 in fantasy before he got hurt. Yes, Jamar Chase blew him out of the water in the average points a game after that. But, Chris Godwin had a really good to the start of the season. And that ankle injury, it was gruesome, yes. But it's not as bad to come back from as a torn ACL and a torn MCL, So with Chris Godwin, I'm actually going to put him in the bottom of solid starters. I feel like you definitely could listen to offers for him too, especially because, he's getting older, he's getting up in there. But I think with Baker at the helm, he loves Chris Godwin. They found a really good spot for him. They're really doing well with him. So I think you keep him, especially for this year, and I don't think he has too much value, and people are still sleeping on him. Chris Olave, I'm going to say you should cash in on value immediately, because the quarterback situation is just bad there. He keeps getting concussions, and, he just, honestly, if you have him on your roster, I cash in on any little value he has left. You could probably get at least maybe like maybe a first for him, but I don't know. I don't like Chris Olave, and plus his quarterback play is awful. Puka Nacua, keep at all costs. He was unbelievable since he came back this year. For DJ Moore, I'm listening to offers. He had a lot of screen passes. Caleb Williams isn't the best quarterback in the world to be from, and he's gonna start for you. He's the wide receiver 1 on a team with the number 1 draft pick quarterback. Caleb's just got to be better. That's all it is. And if Caleb gets better, DJ Moore gets better, and he should be able to develop from here. Garrett Wilson, I'm putting him at like the kind of like the mid to high end of solid starters. He's a guy you're going to start whether he's on the Jets or on a different team. Same thing with JSN. That was the Neighbors. Same thing with JSN. He had a couple bad games to end out the year, but overall he was really good throughout the season. Is that a touchdown? No. He was really good throughout the season, and especially the second half when he averaged around 20 points a game. He had that big 39-point blow-up. And, he's going to be solid. He's still young, great room to develop. Malik Neighbors, he's a keep at all costs. Even on this terrible Giants offense, he produced monster numbers. He's a generational talent. No more to be said. T. Higgins, solid starter. T. Higgins is one of those guys that you really want to start every week. However, there's some weeks that he's going to get you 4, and some weeks where he's going to get you 40. But the upside of him is definitely worth it. And he's also injury prone, and that's the other thing I don't like. But as long as you have a couple of these guys, it shouldn't be too bad. Amari Cooper, good bench depth. He could be a play for the Buffalo Bills or whatever other team he goes to. But once again, he's getting older, and he hasn't been drawing as many targets because the Bills like to spread the ball around. I'm going to go Courtland Sutton for a would listen to offer. He's been a great player this year. Damn, they pushed him out of bounds there. He's been a good player all year, especially at the second half. Once again, after that goose egg game, he was averaging damn near 17 points a game for the rest of the year. Bo Nix looks like a stud. But once again, I feel like Marvin Mims and Troy Franklin could definitely talk. Are we going to talk about them later? Yes, we are. Yeah, Vele, that's Mims. Is that Reynolds? I don't even know who that is. We'll figure it out. But either way, there's a lot of young guys gunning for that receiver 1 job, and I think Troy Franklin or Marvin Mims could be a really solid number 1 option. Jalen Waddle also would listen to offers. Didn't have a great year, but he's still a very good prospect. Ooh, PI. Also a very good prospect, and you want to keep him on your team, but you're listening to some good offers. Zay Flowers, I'm kind of in that same boat. Very volatile. He had a 1,000-yard season. Lamar doesn't like to pass the ball a lot, especially with Derrick Henry. Pro Bowl receiver, probably shouldn't have been. It should have been Brian Thomas Jr., honestly, but that's fine. We're going to rapid fire a couple. Deebo Samuel, good bench depth. Really sucked in the second half of the season. You're not going to be able to start him that much. Jerry Jeudy, cash in on value. The Browns are going to be looking for better options there. I mean, there's a reason this guy didn't pan out in Denver. Jordan Addison, I'm also cashing in on his value. He's the second receiver in this offense. We don't know what J.J. McCarthy's going to do. And Jordan Addison, once again, has a very volatile scoreline. He can score 3 points some games, and he can score 30 points. That's really what he does. Rashee Rice, keep at all costs. Before that ACL injury, he was the best wide receiver in the league, averaging about 20 points a game. Kind of like Chris Godwin. Before their injuries, Chris Godwin and Rashee Rice were the 2 best players in the league at the wide receiver position. DeAndre Hopkins, good bench depth. If you're in a 12-team league, there's not many scenarios where you should be starting DeAndre Hopkins, especially when the Chiefs are going to have Xavier Worthy and Hollywood Brown and Rashee Rice. George Pickens, cash in on value immediately. He's just, he's a troublemaker. and I feel like we're gonna have not he's gonna be just like a worse Antonio Brown. He's gonna have the CTE, but he's not gonna have the stats to back it up. Jacoby Myers, also cash in on value. I mean, the Raiders are going to be looking for another receiver. Jacoby Myers just isn't that guy. I mean, he had 1,000 yards, but really, when he's your only receiver besides Trey Tucker, a wide receiver, I should say, when you're your only wide receiver besides Trey Tucker and like Michael Mayer, like he's gonna get a lot of targets. Lad McConkey, keep it all costs. Lad McConkey is one of the guys I'm going to be super high on next year. I'm going to be drafting a lot of Lad McConkey. He went completely off in that game against the Texans that they lost, and it sucks that he played his heart out, and he deserves to be at least a second round pick in fantasy. I'm putting like these receivers should go in front of in redraft leagues at least. These receivers should go in front. I can also see this guy, Brian Thomas Jr., on a bad offense with Mac Jones at quarterback. This guy put up 1,200 yards and won a lot of people the fantasy football playoffs, which is wild to say. He averaged like 30 points a game in the last couple weeks. So, Brian Thomas Jr. must keep. J-Mo Williams, I'm actually going to throw him at solid starter. He's the wide receiver 2 in one of the best offenses in the league. And, he has that big play potential. He's still young. Yes, he keeps getting suspended. But I think overall, if you have J-Mo Williams in a 12-team double flex dynasty league, you're starting him. Same thing with Khalil Shakir. He catches everything. He has the best quarterback in the league throwing the ball to him. Michael Pittman, honestly, good bench depth. Unless Anthony Richardson gets better, there's no way you're starting Michael Pittman. Honestly, same with Tank Dell. Tank Dell might be out for the entire 2025 season, which, prayers up to that injury. That was bad. Calvin Ridley, cash in on value. The Titans are going to want to get receivers to replace Calvin Ridley because he is not good enough to lead this Titans team. Christian Kirk, good bench depth. You shouldn't be starting him at Dynasty. Darnell Mooney, he had a good year last year, but he really fell off. Shouldn't be starting him either. But he's good on the bench. Same thing with Keenan Allen. He's getting older, but he doesn't really have, the value that he used to. Now, Tyler Lockett is going to be the first never seen the lineup. He really fell off this year, and with DK Metcalf and JSN in front of him in the lineup, with Geno Smith not playing that good, Tyler Lockett should never be in your starting lineup. Adam Thielen, good bench depth, He had a great end to the season, but realistically, are you trusting him over any of the guys in solid starters and keep it even in the cash in and value immediately? No, you're not trusting him more than there. And Juwan Jennings, I'm gonna put him in with listen to offers because Ricky Pearsall has looked really good down the stretch. And are we gonna talk about him later too? Yes, we will. Ricky Pearsall's looked really good down the stretch and could definitely take the wide receiver 1 job. I know that. And you also have Brandon Ayuk. Deebo Samuel sucks. So Josh Jones, great bench depth. He's another one of those Colts receivers that Anthony Richardson really needs to step up his game, or else none of these guys are going to be viable options. Hollywood Brown, with how crowded this Chiefs receiver room is, I'm putting him in never seeing the lineup. I know it's kind of crazy. I had Marquise Brown really highly last year, but with DeAndre Hopkins, with Xavier Worthy, with Rashee Rice, Travis Kelce, I see no reason to start Hollywood Brown in your lineups. Yes, he might get like a 50-yard touchdown one game, but that's about it. Rashad Bateman, a 12-team, he's good bench depth. He's had an underrated season this year. Like, if I go to Rashad Bateman, look at these games, right? He had 5 for 76 and 1. This game was bad, so was this game, and the 0. But you have like 6, 3, 4, a lot of touchdowns. Not a great season, but 45 for 756 and 9 touchdowns, it's honestly kind of underrated. Cooks, never seen the lineup. That Cowboys offense is not very good. For Marvin Harrison, I'm listening to offers. He still has a lot of room to grow, but if someone's willing to pay big money for Marvin Harrison Jr. in hopes that he will grow, I'm selling him. Mike Williams, never seen the lineup. That's just self-explanatory. Rashid Shaheed is going to be good bench depth. Probably not going to start for you, but he's doing pretty well. Rome Odunze, I'm saying good bench depth for right now, because he has Keenan Allen and DJ Moore in front of him. Did he get that? Oh, almost. Speaking of, where is he? Speaking of J.Mo Williams and solid starters, he almost just caught a big pass if Jared Goff just didn't overthrow him. He's just fast. Alec Pierce, kind of in the same situation with all the other Colts receivers. I might put him in. I think I'm putting him in never see the lineup, though, because especially if the Colts draft a pass-catching tight end like Tyler Warren, you got Michael Pittman, Josh Downs, and Tyler Warren, as well as Jonathan Taylor. Alec Pierce kind of gets shifted out of the lineup. Call me crazy, Christian Watson's never seen the lineup. He's too risky to put in. He's always hurt, and he's not seeing the line. Like, you could stick him on your bench, but I'm not seeing anything. Kind of the same thing for, I'm going to put him in bench depth because we've seen Quentin Johnston be terrible, and we've also seen Ladd McConkey be injured, and Josh Palmer then has had a lot of room to shine while doing that. Marco Wilson, you're never seeing the lineup. You're never seeing the lineup either. Let's get some not seeing the lineups. All four of these guys, not seeing the lineups. Not once. Xavier Worthy, it was really solid down the stretch again. A great rookie receiver. I'm listening to offers for him, though, especially because he did have such a good down the stretch. If people are willing to pay a decent amount for him, I'm keeping him with me, but I'm listening to offers. Alan Lazard, never seen the lineup. Bad Jets team and getting older, not happening. Same thing with Curtis Samuel. Bills, not a bad team, but Curtis Samuel just doesn't have the upside that these other Bills receivers do, like Shakir or Amari Cooper. Like, yeah, he'll catch a touchdown once every while, but not going to do anything crazy. Darius Slayton, I'm going to throw him at good bench depth, because, he's the Giants' deep threat receiver, more than Jalen Hyatt has been. And if he stays in the Giants, then he's still going to get decent targets, and he could be a good bench player. And if you have to start him in a pinch, you could be able to. Now, I'll be honest. Elijah Moore's never seen the lineup. He's not doing much. I'll be honest, I don't really know many of the Patriots receivers. I think one of them, Kayshon Boutte. No, so that's Boutte. Okay, yeah. Let's just get the Patriots receivers out of the way. So you got Kayshon Boutte. Is one Kendrick Bourne? Yep. That's Kevin. And I bet you is that Jalen Polk or is that Javon Baker? No, they don't even put, Demario Douglas? It is. Okay. Oh, Lions are going to score here. So let's just go all the receivers. So Drake May is a great quarterback. These guys are going to be replaced, and it's only a matter of time. It definitely even could be by T. Higgins. So I'm putting Douglas and I'm putting Boutte in bench depth. I already forget who this guy is. Kendrick Bourne. I'm putting Bourne and Douglas in never seen the lineup, and I'm putting Boutte into good bench depth. We'll do tight ends another time, as Sam Laporta just scored a touchdown in this game. It's 13-10 right now. It's going to be 14-10. Noah Brown, honestly not going to see the lineup. I have the Commanders drafting a skill position player that they're going to help Jaden Daniels out with, and Noah Brown is not going to be one of those guys. Marvin Mims, I'm telling you, I am putting him into, as of right now, I'm putting him in good bench depth. He played really well down the stretch. Not trusting him to be a starter yet, but definitely in the future. Kind of same with Wan'Dale Robinson. He had like 90 catches this year. Big volume player, and that made him solid all over the year. Same with Jalen Tolbert. Well, not same with Jalen Tolbert. Jalen Tolbert had just like a bunch of big play aspirations, which makes him a decent bench option. He'll be good on the depth chart. I think this is Khalif Raymond. Is he still in that car accident? Did he still have that car accident thingy? Either way, I'm not starting him. Never going to start him. I'm never going to start you either. Keon Coleman, good bench depth for right now. He could definitely break out for the Bills, but I don't know exactly if he's going to. Valdez Scantling, not seeing the lineup. He's going to be out of the Saints lineup too in a while. Quentin Johnston, I'm actually not going to put in bench depth, but I'm going to put in cash in on value immediately. Here is why. Quentin Johnston, right? So, if you look at Quentin Johnston's stats, right? Week 18, he had 31 points. He also had, a couple 15-pointers, 22, 0. He had 11.6 average points a game. Put him at 39th ranked position in wide receivers, which basically, if you're thinking about it, 39th ranked in position in a double flex dynasty league, you can start in 12 team. So that's 12 times 4 possible starting receivers. 48 receivers. Quentin Johnston is technically a starting receiver basically a starting receiver. Even if you start instead of 48 receivers for all the flex spots, you start instead 44 or 42, even 40. Quentin Johnston is still among the top 30 in those. So, because of that, we're going to cash in on his value while you still have them. I bet you can find some sucker in your league that will take Quentin Johnston just because of his big game at the end, and people will think that he's good. Ray McLeod had one game, didn't do much. Westbrook Akine, he's not keeping up that touchdown volume. We're just honestly, do I see any other of these guys? So most of these guys are in this category. So honestly, we're just gonna put okay, here we go. All those guys are gonna be never seen in the lineup, a lot of them. Ricky Pearsall, for me, I'm listening to offers, but realistically, I am keeping him most likely. He has been great this season, especially down the stretch, despite being shot earlier in the season. It's honestly crazy that he's still playing. Robinson, good bench depth. He had a couple solid games this year. Cooper Kupp hasn't been great this season, and as the Rams' number 3, I do like him as a player. Devon Vele, also good bench depth. Bo Nix really seems to like him for some reason. Don't know why. Jaden Reed would listen to offers. He's the definition of a boom or bust player. He either scores you 20 or he scores you 1. And I had Jaden Reed last year, so I would know. And then finally, Romeo Dubes, good bench depth. Nothing much else to say right there. Packers wide receiver 2, Josh Jacobs and Jaden Reed. Josh Jacobs getting most of the workload, and all the other Packers receivers are just kind of meddling around. Okay, so this is the final list. If you agree with me, you can like. If you don't agree with me, you can also dislike, but that would be mean. But yeah, we'll see you guys in the next video.